Configuring your settings for the power dimensioning command will save you a great deal of time. By having them pre-configured and ready to use, you will not have to set up a new dimension style for each new drawing that you create. In the ribbon Annotate tab, Dimension panel, in the lower right corner, click the dialog box launcher to open the Dimension Settings dialog box. This dialog box allows you to change the way power dimensioning creates the actual dimensions. Several of the settings in this dialog box show the AutoCAD drawing icon, which indicates that these settings are saved in the individual drawing file. These settings should be set up in your template file to match your standards or your company's standards. At the top, under Dimension Style, the base dimension style allows you to pick any existing dimension style from your current drawing by clicking the drop-down. You can also force the power dimensions to use this dimension style by clicking the checkbox. However, this is not recommended as it would force any dimension that is changed in the drawing to be changed to the style indicated in the base dimension style. The dimension style may also be edited. Click the Edit button. The Edit Dimension Style dialog box opens. The look of the different children in the dimension style can be changed. For instance, to change the look of the radial dimension, click Radial, then click Modify button. A warning dialog box opens, warning you that if you make changes to the radial dimension style, you will overwrite these settings in the Radius Representation dialog box. Click Edit Dimension Style, and now you have the ability to make any changes here in the Modified Dimension Style, AM_ANSI radial dialog box. In this case, select the Primary Units tab and change the precision of the primary units to 3 decimal places. Click OK, then click OK again, and now the changes have been made. Back in the dimension settings, the default representations area has 3 buttons to allow you to change the way chamfers are called out, or you can change the look of radius or diameter dimensions. Click chamfer and the chamfer representation dialog box opens. Click the drop down and you can change the look from distance to distance choices such as distance/angle. Click OK to accept the changes and close the chamfer representations dialog box. Now click the radius to open the radius representations dialog box. For the radius dimensions, you can force the dimension line inside or not, the arrows inside or not, and dictate whether a center cross is drawn. Just check the boxes next to the options you want. The changes are previewed directly on the screen so that you can see them immediately and decide if they're what you would like. Click OK to finish. Click Diameter to open the Diameter Representations dialog box. The diameter options are very similar to the radius options. You can force the line inside, force the line and arrows inside, and force the line and text and arrows inside, or draw the center cross. Leave all the checkboxes deselected and then click OK to close the dialog box. Back in the dimension settings, under Dimension Text, you can see that the option to ignore AutoCAD scale factor for linear dimension measurements is checked. This is on by default and it is recommended that you leave it that way. By having this checked, Mechanical ignores the dimension linear scale factor in AutoCAD, which allows the AutoCAD Mechanical scale areas and detail commands to function properly. Immediate below that is the predefined text button. This allows you to customize the drop-down list of predefined text that's available in the Power Dimensioning dialog box. For instance, click the button and the predefined dimension text dialog box opens. Here in the left pane is the existing list of predefined text. Existing items can be removed and new items can be created and added. Scroll to find an item that is close to what you would like and select it, and it's added to the text editor on the right. Click in the text box and add the desired text. Then click the Add button and now your new dimension text string is added to the bottom of the list. Click OK to accept the changes. The Fits and Tolerances area allows you to customize the default look for fit representations and tolerance methods. Select Fits and the Fit Representations dialog box opens. Click the drop-down and select a different look for the fit callout, then click OK. This works the same way for the tolerances. Click the Tolerances button, and in the Tolerance Methods dialog box, click the drop-down list. Select the max-min dimension, and now when you turn on tolerancing for a dimension, it will have its max-min look by default. Click OK to accept the change. The next option under Fits and Tolerances refers to when changes are made to fit callouts on the drawing. Mechanical can update a list or a chart of applied fits. This can be set to happen automatically, manually, or you can set it to prompt you, which is the default. The Ask First setting will prompt you to ask if you would like to make the change at that moment in time. The automatic setting makes it happen automatically, and the manual setting makes it happen only when you double-click on the list. Leave this set to Ask First. Under Placement Options, the Display Visual Aids While Creating Dimensions checkbox controls whether or not you see a small glyph next to your cursor while you're adding a power dimension. This glyph is used to indicate whether a dimension is going to be a radial or diameter dimension, an angle dimension, or a linear dimension. The next option, in Chain Dimensions, replace arrows with points for lengths less than, is set to a default of 0.5 inch. Click in the box to set it to a different value. This means that when placing chain dimensions, the dimensions are closer together than 1/2 inch. Instead of showing two arrowheads where the dimensions meet, a single solid filled dot will be displayed. Use Distance Snap for placement is what controls whether power dimension shows a detent effect when you're placing the dimension text itself. The 0.5 inch value is how far off from the object lines the power dimension is placed. This can be changed or it can be turned off. The Display Dimension Text Editor option is initially set to 4 first dimension. This is why the Power Dimensioning dialog box is only displayed when you place the first dimension in any given Power Dimension command. This can be changed if you would like. Click the drop-down, and you can change it to Only on Demand or Always. If you choose Only on Demand, Mechanical will show the Power Dimension dialog box when you go back and double-click on the dimension after it's been placed. This can speed up the creation of dimensions because you're not having to click OK in the Power Dimension dialog box every single time you go into the command. Always open the Power Dimensioning dialog box every time you place a dimension. By default, the Show Text Override prompt in command line is turned off by default. It can be turned on to show you what the dimension value is. Finally, Restore Defaults will change all the settings back to their original defaults, which means that any value you've changed, such as Distance Snap, will turn back to their original values. Once you have made the changes desired, click OK or Apply to save them to your system.